Hello, in this video we'll be looking at issue 30 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium, seeing the return of the Skorpekh Destroyers and learning some dangerous new rules for them. Hello, I'm Mike and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And today we're bringing you issue 30 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. And with this issue we've got two new paints, Mephiston Red and Warnfang Brown. As always, if you want to skip the issue overview, you can use the timecode in the description or the chapter bars to go straight to the battle report. Looking through the issue first, we have a battle record for the Mechanicus cohort that we have. So this just lets you name your little contingent of Mechanicus units you get with the magazine. It also gives each unit a name and also basically shows off all the units we're getting. So the Skitari and the Dominus we've seen, but we still have the Necron Destroyers and the Tech Priest engines here to see. And then we have some background on some of the many Ultramarine successor chapters. So these chapters, their gene seed is based on Roberta Gilliman. And these are some of the more famous ones. The Nova Marines, I think we might have seen in a previous issue. The Silver Templars, obviously, as Arm Marines are based on. The Howling Griffins are on the front cover. And there are considerably more than this, because the Ultramarines were one of the largest legions previously, and such are some of the most successes. And then some background on the Novok dynasty. So these Necrons, before they transferred to the mechanical bodies, were apparently very keen on blood-related rituals, like coating themselves in the blood of their opponents, and they continue to do that even in their mechanical forms. So they tend to favour a more melee focus, and it notes that they make use of destroyers, much to the dismay of other Necron dynasties. And then some more background on the Mechanicus again, of their quest for technology, how they have a very spiritual approach to technology, where blueprints are considered to be holy relics, and trying to innovate or adapt is considered heretical, and any unsanctioned technology is essentially the same as witchcraft to the Imperium. And how the Mechanicus uses these explorator fleets to go out and search for ancient technology. I suppose the irony is lost on the Mechanicus that these ancient technological advancements from humanity's past are allowed, but innovation isn't. And now our painting guide, we can add our new colours to the Ultramarines. So Warnfang Brown is for all the leather parts, and also things like the librarian's gloves and books. Any scabbards and pistol holsters, the hair on the captain and the sergeant, some other details on the pistol holsters like buttons and the metal plate at the bottom. And then Mephiston Red is used for sergeants' helmets, other things like eye lenses, and going over the captain's cloak as well. And then we're also adding a Nulnor shade over the Warnfang Brown parts and Agrexel shade over the Mephiston Red on the captain's cloak. And there you can see some of the finished models with these new paints applied, so you can make sure yours are up to the same place. With that over, I'll hand you over to Will, where you can learn some new rules.
Now we have some new rules to look at, and first up we've got an updated datasheet for our Skorpekh Destroyers. I think we've pretty much seen all of this before, their profile and their weapon damage and everything. I think we've already had that. Although you will note under the number it just says 3 in the unit. Technically it should be 3 to 6, and I think some of our other units have had the maximum unit size available even if we haven't the models, so just to be aware of that. But they do have a new ability called Hardwired for Destruction, which means they can reroll hit rolls of 1. And they also have the Destroyer Cult keyword, which will be relevant in a second. When we look at the datasheet for the Canoptek Plasmacyte, which has been updated, its stats are all the same, and its weapon as well, but it has a load of new rules that explain what it actually does, because up to this point I think it's just been basically a mobile objective. First up is Viral Construct, which is just to do with building your army. You can include it for free if you have a destroyer unit, so we're not worrying about that yet. Its Evasion Protocol means that while it's within 3 inches of a friendly Zarrakan Destroyer Cult unit, it can't be targeted with ranged attacks unless it's the closest enemy unit. Recall Protocol means that if it's more than 6 inches away from a Destroyer Cult unit in the unit coherency checks, that's basically the end of the turn, then it's removed. And finally, Infused Malice is what it actually does. At the start of either the charge phase or the fight phase, you can select a Destroyer Cult unit within 3 inches. You roll a d6. On a 1, one of the destroyers is destroyed, but regardless of whether that happens or not, the entire unit gains +1 strength and attacks until the end of the turn. So basically, it buffs up destroyer units with a slight danger that they might get destroyed by it, as it infuses them with, as it says, an infectious ascension energy. And on the back there's just a brief tutorial. We've got Evasion Protocol, so the Skitari can't shoot it because it's within 3 inches of the destroyers and then not the closest target. And just how Infused Madness works. If you roll a 1, you lose a destroyer. And then we have some more of the cool rules. We're looking at the battle round here. You can see all the phases listed in order. We've seen all of those so far, so we won't go through those in detail. It just shows you how the turn plays out. It does note about out of phase rules, which won't come up right now, but may do later, which is things that happen as though they were in a given phase, for example, as if it were in the shooting phase. And it just says that all rules that would apply in the shooting phase will apply for those things, with one exception of stratagems, but we don't know what that is yet, so we won't worry about that for now. And over the page we have some detailed information about the command phase. In the command phase, if your army is battleforged, you gain a command point. Neither of those two things mean anything to us at this point, but it does tell us here that they will be introduced in later advanced rules sections. Then we have the background for the game. The Necrons now control vast areas of the fortress moon of Tsiphos' surface, including a lot of the area outside the main fortress complex, which is called Bastion Primus. But to give the Imperial forces more time to prepare their defences, the Space Marines have launched a counterstrike to try and destroy some of the Necron forces. The Necron Overlord knows that human morale is poor, and a decisive victory here would all but guarantee his domination of the moon, whereas the Space Marines are led by the Primaris Lieutenant, who knows the importance of slowing down the Necron advance. We have the next mission in our Scout mission pack, No Mercy. So the forces will be the Necron Overlord, 10 Necron Warriors, and then the 3 Skorpekh Destroyers and the Plasmacyte that we got the datasheets for, whereas the Space Marines are the Primaris Lieutenant, 5 Assault Intercessors and 3 Aggressors. The battlefield looks like this. We've got the 3 Minotaur containers again, 1 in the centre and then 2 90-degree angles towards the edges. The deployment zones are on the long edges, 3 inches on, and there is an objective, the specified distances between the boxes, as you can see on the map there. Then we alternate deploying, the Necrons starting, and we have a progressive objective called Dominate the Battlefield. So at the start of each player's turn, whoever's turn it is scores a victory point for each objective they control, and they score an additional victory point for controlling more objectives than their opponent. The game lasts for 5 battle rounds, but it does say that if you manage to eliminate all the other players' units before that, that player is victorious. Only worry about the victory point tally if both sides have models left at the end. Well, that is it for the game briefing, so we'll get the board set up and then get straight into it. Here is our battlefield with the containers across the centre and the 2 objectives in the middle, and then we can see the armies deployed from up here. Looking at the Necrons first, I actually deployed the Overlord first and then the Plasmacyte in the middle, so as not to give away which side I was going to put my other units. We got the Necron Warriors on the left flank and the Destroyers on the right. And then the Space Marines.
Yeah, for me I've got the Aggressors in the middle of the board, and then the Assault Intercessors to their left or your right, and then the Lieutenant in behind for aura coverage.
And the mission doesn't specify who goes first, so we need to roll off. I've rolled a black dice, I've rolled a 6.
It's cocked.
It's cocked, yeah, it's not going to fall over.
I only got 3.
I'm actually going to make the Space Marines go first because they're not really a shooting army, and I'd like them to come closer so I can charge them with my Destroyers. So we'll be on to Space Marines turn 1. So
my turn, all my units are just going to move up normally, and we're going to head towards the second objective, and we're going to try and kill off some of the Destroyers, I think. Could have gone the other way and go for the Warriors, but probably most of them would just come back from the Resurrection Orb, and Destroyers are much harder to bring back. So I think I'll start with the Aggressors, shooting at the Destroyers. They're all just about in range, so 66 automatic hits, getting 16. So these are wounding on 5s, but rerolling 1s because of the Lieutenant. These reroll, so that's 6 wounds.
6 3+ saves for Destroyers. Oh, failed 4, wow, so that kills a Destroyer and wounds another one. We'll kill this Destroyer and put a wound on the other one, but then we'll see if the other destroyed one comes back. Needing 3 5+. No.
I'll do the Lieutenant next because he does 2 damage. So he has 2 shots hitting on 2s, that hit. Wounding on 4s because he's strength 5, 6s do mortal wounds. Oh, nothing at all. And no rerolling 1s because he's not a core unit. Then the Assault Intercessors. I won't overcharge the Plasma Pistol, and I'll roll it as well. I'll roll it as well, and it'll be the black dice. So 5 shots in total, hitting on 3s. Plasma Pistol hit at least. So the black dice wounds on a 3 and the white dice wounds on a 5. Oh, they both wound.
Black dice with the Plasma Pistol is a 6 to save. Nope. And the white dice will be a 4 because it's saving -1. No, so the other Destroyer is also killed. I'll roll to see if that one comes back straight away, needing 3 5+. Nope. So that Destroyer is also killed. Well, so much for the Space Marines not being a shooting force.
Okay. So it's very tempting to try and get rid of the Destroyers, so I will try and charge with the Aggressors.
Not really anything to lose.
Yeah, you need a 12. Oh, 10!
Not quite. But objectives are scored at the beginning of the turn, not the end in this game, so no victory points yet, as we go on to Necron's turn 1. In my command phase, I will use the Overlord's Resurrection Orb on the Destroyers. Not that likely to get one back, but if I do, then it will definitely be worth it. So I roll 6 dice for the 2 destroyed models, and I need at least 3 5+s to bring one back. Only 2, which is average, but unfortunately no destroyer. And then in the movement phase, the remaining destroyer moved up, was just going to go in and try and kill as many things as possible. The Plasmacyte advanced, it rolled a 2, which gets it to there, which means it's going to be in range to help the destroyer out and be on the objective. And the Overlord and the Warriors also moved up a little bit like this. Oh, I forgot to say, but also in the command phase, the Overlord used my Will Be Done on the Warriors, obviously, because they're the ones that benefit from it, being the only core unit that I have on the board. Then on to the shooting phase, the Warriors are all going to shoot at the Assault Intercessors because they can't all see an aggressor, so we'll just concentrate our fire. 20 shots because they've all got Gauss Reapers, hitting on 2s because my Will Be Done. 16 hits, wounding on 3s. Failed 4, so that's 12 wounds. I didn't specify the order in which I was shooting these, so the guy on the end technically has cover, and because I didn't specify, I will just give him cover for the sake of this.
He has cover from the Necrons at the far end of the unit, so I'll do him, so it's a 4+ for him. Oh, he's dead. So,
He's dead anyway.
So never mind. The rest of these are 5+ saves. Yeah, I made 1, so they're all dead.
Yeah, that was actually enough to wipe out the whole unit, unfortunately. I don't have any more shooting attacks, so we'll be on to the charge phase. At the start of the charge phase, I will use the Canoptek Plasmacyte's ability, Infused Madness, on the Destroyer, which, if I don't roll a 1 and kill it, it will gain a +1 strength and attacks. You can also do that at the start of the fight phase, but I'm doing it in the charge phase because I want him to get over to the left-hand side of the aggressor's unit, away from the Lieutenant, where he'll be more than 3 inches away from the Plasmacyte. If I roll a 1 though, he's destroyed. Oh, I did. So, never mind, the destroyer is removed. Couldn't handle the injection of energy. Oh well, the Overlord might as well declare a charge on the aggressors then in that case. Probably needs about a 6. Oh, he got an 11, that'll be enough. And he'd end his charge there. He looks like he's quite far away, but he is within an inch, and I don't want to get within 3 inches of the Lieutenant. Not because he can get in to attack the Overlord, but because a heroic intervention would bring him probably in range of the objective, and that risks giving away victory points. He has 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, because his weapon gives him a penalty. So he only hits twice, so he's not going to kill them all.
Oh.
2s to kill them, though. No, I rolled a 1. He only kills 1 with a 3 damage swing.
So we kill off this guy on the end.
Yeah, obviously I didn't pile in, I didn't consolidate either. There didn't seem to be any need.
But the aggressors will pile in.
That will bring more than one of them in range of the objective, so the Space Marines will hold it, but I think that would be the case anyway, because Plasmacyte's about to disappear.
7 attacks from the aggressors, hitting on 4s. Getting 5. Wounding on 3s, you're rolling 1s. Getting 4 wounds.
4+ invulnerable saves. Failed 3, so he takes 6 damage and dies. That's as many wounds as he has. So that is enough to kill him.
So the aggressors will consolidate, so they're just an inch away from the Plasmacyte, no need to draw it in.
Yeah, give it a free attack. And that just brings us to the morale phase, at the end of which, during the check unit coherency step, the Plasmacyte is removed because it is not within 6 inches of a friendly destroyer cult unit. And then we'll be on to Space Marines turn 2. At the start of the turn, the Space Marines gain 2 victory points because they hold 1 objective, which is more than the Necrons holding 0 objectives. So 1 for the objective, 1 for holding more.
Well, the aggressors are going to move up so they're an inch away from the Warriors, and the Lieutenant's going to follow up behind. In the shooting phase, I'll start with the Lieutenant. He's going to throw a frag grenade at the Warriors. So he has d6 shots, minimum 3, because there's 10 of them. Oh, I rolled a 3 anyway. Hitting on 2s, they will hit. Wounding on 5s. Nope. And the aggressors will shoot the Warriors as well. 4d6 automatic hits. 11. Wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s. Got 5 1s to reroll. Into 3 more wounds, so 6.
4+ saves, made 3, so 3 die. I will take away these 3. Do they come back on 5s? Oh, 2 do, and I can reroll that 1. They all come back. And somehow they reanimate over on the left, towards that objective over there.
On to the charge phase, the aggressors will charge, the Necron Warriors. What? Now they get a 12. So they're just going to charge into the blob to make space for the Lieutenant, who will also charge. And the Lieutenant fails his charge, he's done nothing. Well, now the aggressors are huffed to kill some Warriors. 7 attacks hitting on 4s. 4. Wounding on 2s, rerolling 1s. Reroll the 1. Yeah, that's 4 dead Warriors.
Yep, no save against that. I'll take away these 4 over this side. And do they come back on 5s? 2 of them do. And they'll come back over here. Technically that one aggressor does get to consolidate.
Yep.
And then the Necrons get to strike back. They can all get into fight, just sort of pivoting round towards objective 1. 8 attacks back, hitting on 3s. 4 hits. And winning on 5s. A wound.
3+ save. Made it.
And it's the end of Space Marine's turn 2. No more outers necessary for the Necron Warriors because they actually only lost 2 overall. So on to Necron's turn 2. Well, at the start of my turn I gain a victory point because they definitely hold objective 1, but not more than the Space Marines. Well, we're just going to fall back to be on objective 1. All the models are now in range of it, and I can't do anything else because falling back I can't shoot. So on to Space Marines turn 3. They gain another victory point going up to 3 for holding the other objective.
Well, the aggressors are going to move so they're an inch away, and then the lieutenant's going to move along a bit, so he still holds that objective, but he can see some Necrons as well, so he can try and contribute to the combat. And I'll do the lieutenant first in the shooting phase, where he's going to fire his Volkite pistol, because I might get some mortal wounds. So he has 2 shots hitting on 2s, they both hit, wounding on 3s. Oh, they're both wounds, no mortal wounds though.
I can put them on people who are in cover from his point of view, behind the box entirely, which you can't see, but that's how the rules work. So it'll be a 3+ save. I made both thanks to that.
And then the aggressors shooting with their Flamestorm gauntlets. 46 auto-mega hits for 15. 15 hits, wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s. Yeah, that was a wound, and these were both 3s, so that's 11 wounds.
Definitely no cover against this, so 4+ saves. 6 dead. Just lose 6 random ones. Doesn't really matter which ones at this point. See if any come back. 3 came back, no 1s though.
Then in the charge phase, the aggressors will charge. Yeah, 7. They'll just charge into the gap between the warriors and the box. Then we have 7 attacks hitting on 4s. Getting 2. Really on 2s, you're rolling 1s. That's 2 dead Necrons.
Do they get back up? Reroll 1. 1 gets back up. So we lose 2 and we'll bring back 1 there, doesn't really matter. And we'll get 4 attacks back. Hitting on 3s, we've got 2. Wounding on 5s, nothing. And they don't need to take a test in the morale phase because they only lost 4, and they lose at 10. So then it would be on to Necron's turn 3, but I think we can see what's going to happen at this point. I do gain a victory point and go up to 2 in this turn, but the Necron Warriors can basically keep falling back and being charged and shot, and they're just never going to overcome the number of victory points the Space Marines have, let alone wipe them out. So yeah, it will definitely be a Space Marine victory, and we'll recap the game for you now. Well, that was the game for issue 30 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. How do you think that went?
Considerably better than I thought it would. I sort of expected the destroyers to dice my army to bits, and that didn't happen. And we even rolled off camera to see what would have happened if your destroyer had made it into combat, and he would have killed all the aggressors.
Yeah.
And I would have been left with just a lieutenant and probably conceded. And that was at the end of the first battle round. So the destroyer dying to the Plasmacyte and then the Overlord only killing one aggressor. More bad luck on your part than any bad strategy, I think.
Well, I did let you go first in the hope that your shooting wouldn't be very effective, but unfortunately you killed 2 destroyers. I think I just misjudged your shooting a little bit. The problem is, if I'd gone first, I possibly would have had to advance to get all my Necron Warriors in range, which would have meant they were less effective at shooting, and then they would have also been in prime position for you to countercharge. And my destroyers would have had probably like an 8-inch charge, which might not be the end of the world, but...
I suppose you could have moved the Warriors towards Objective 1, in which case I probably would have shifted to try and fight them instead of the destroyers.
Yeah, because you would probably have gone after the softer target with a lot of models in it. But it was then compounded by the fact that the Overlord only killed 1 aggressor, when in theory he can kill all 3 of them in 1 attempt. And then he failed, was invulnerable save and died, and then that was basically the game over. And that was even after the Warriors' fantastic round of shooting, or your round of terrible armor saves.
Yeah, I think I made 1 out of 12 or something. Yeah.
And I took all Gauss Reapers just because we didn't start very far apart. I knew they'd be in range in turn 1. Even if I had to advance, they could still shoot, and then my Will Be Done would have counteracted the -1 to hit. No need for Gauss Flayers in this game, really. We'd started on the short edges and been a lot further away, and the Gauss Flayers might have been more useful. It was perhaps a bit ambitious a scenario to suggest that we might want to be counting up victory points with this few models on this size of board. It wasn't really going to last for 5 battle rounds, I don't think.
I mean, also that we were actually fairly close to each other, 16 inches away. I can't imagine it lasting 5 rounds unless you're incredibly unlucky with wound and hit rolls, or very lucky with saves and reanimations.
And obviously we did start to rack up victory points, but I think in the first turn I just basically went to kill things. I didn't worry about the objectives too much. I mean, I was fairly unlucky to loot a destroyer to the Plasmacyte, but that's always what happens when you show off a new ability like that. Obviously, it always backfires. I was going to say we didn't get to show off what it did. Well, we actually did. We showed off exactly what it can do, which is kill a destroyer, but +1 attack and +1 strength for a destroyer unit is extremely powerful.
Makes the regular guy strength 6, I think, is it?
Yeah, so they're winning aggressors on 3s.
Yeah, and the big sword strength 8, so it'd wound normal intercessors on 2s.
And an extra attack means that the guys with the swords get 5 each. And actually, I'm sure in one of our Crusade games that we played, a buffed up unit unit of destroyers took out a Redemptor Dreadnought in a single round of combat with that.
And especially since pretty sure destroyers in the Codex let you take units of 6 as well. And if you get a big unit like that, you're getting an extra attack and strength. And they're not a core unit, but there are some optional rules, I believe, that are allowed that do make destroyers a core unit as well. So you could give them My Will Be Done, and with their rerolling ones, basically you never miss. I don't know if the Plasmacyte isn't auto-include. I guess if you have a big unit of 6 destroyers, you might as well take it. I mean, you do have to pay for it with power or points, so, and it's not really flexible enough that you can send it off to do its own thing.
No, it has to stay near the destroyers, and if you run out of destroyers, it automatically disappears.
And I guess it depends on the objectives of the game you're playing. If it's objectives for units destroyed, it is a separate unit, so it could give victory points away.
And it's not exactly difficult to kill. I suppose in theory, if you have multiple units of destroyers, it could support them, and there are other kinds of destroyers as well, which it can also assist, so it's not just Skorpekh destroyers, but unfortunately, there is always the danger of rolling a 1. So, well, to be honest, really not much more to say about this game. So, well, if you like the video, then do give it a like and subscribe. Let us know how you got on if you did this. I imagine it could be quite different if certain things happening differently. So it'd be interesting to know if anyone else has played it. But we've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye for now.